The Flash. The Flash. I just watched it. It just premiered on the CW. And I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, nerds, birds, squirrels, and girls, this is a good show. I like it. It's very fun. I'm going to talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. before coming back to this. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is kind of like Little House on the Prairie set in the Star Wars universe. Completely misses the point of the superhero genre. It's it's just it's that's why I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to cover it. The Flash is a superhero show. It gets it. It gets it. It understands the heroics. The this guy is special. Maybe there's no reason for him to be special, but he is. Sometimes it can be a little bit silly, but he gets it. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a show, with no Jedi, no X-wings, no droids. It's just it's like the first like 10 minutes of Luke Skywalker's life in A New Hope. It's him hanging out on a moisture farm. Just kind of why do this? But this made me smile. Uh, the way the Flash moves is kind of low budget. It's kind of cheesy, but it feels like a comic book, and that's so nice. Um, Man of Steel did not feel like a comic book. It felt like a space opera or something. The Flash feels like a comic book, and they're just having fun, and they get that what they're doing is kind of goofy, but they're just gonna have fun anyway, and I love that. I really do. It's refreshing. It's not trying to be postmodern or deconstructionist or or anything. It's just a classic, good, solid story. So let's talk about the costume again. Just very fun. I love how they're adding these little lightning bolts. Yeah, and they're just saying because it's cool, man. It's cool. That's all it is. Um, I like his costume. It's utilitarian, but it also identifies him as a superhero. It's not too um, you know, not too utilitarian, really. The Weather Wizard. I really like the Weather Wizard. He was a very modern take on the character, which needed some updated. The Weather Wizard is a very Silver Age character. So this kind of bank robbing guy who, in leather, makes a lot of sense, especially for this show, which really borrowed a lot from Arrow. I like the Arrow cameo, how they both think that each other are really cool, and they have this kind of instant kind of, oh, you're like me, we're kind of like each other, we all wear one color, and we do these weird things at night, or I guess in the Flash cases during the day. And I thought that was really fun. That was a nice little nod. I don't know if it was really necessary though. I'm not really sure how much crossover they're going to do. Um, I think it'd be interesting in the future, just kind of projecting further into the future. What other spin-off shows they're going to have? Are they going to have, this time slot that all 5 days of the week you're going to have a superhero show? Because that would be crazy. Or maybe they would have 4 different superhero shows that would occupy the same time slot with 13 shows each, and it would be continuous as each one ended. There's a lot they could do with that. There really is. But the Weather Wizard, it's kind of a tongue twister, was pretty good. I liked him. His delusion of godhood was an interesting twist. I admit I'm not really up to date on the Weather Wizard, so that might be a feature of his character that I'm just not aware of. And I realize that I am the nerd authority, so that should be something that I'm aware of, but I'm not, and I don't really want to research it. I just want to get this out there right away. You know, uh, police relationship. I like that the police know who he is, or at least the one policeman knows who he is, and they're not going to try to play around with the Arrow slash Batman dynamic of you're a dangerous vigilante and we don't do that in my city because I'm the police, and he has to fight the police while fighting the bad guys. No, the police guy is going to look over his shoulder and give him a nod when it's time to flash out, which I think is pretty cool. Iris, I I am kind of sick of romances being at the center of all these stories. What they're doing is they're trying to make these very male-oriented shows palatable for women. And, I mean, everything just has to have a romance in it all the time, forever and ever. Uh, and it's kind of boring at this point that, uh, she doesn't know that he has these powers, but he does have these powers, and if only she knew. I mean, that's Superman stuff. That's 1930s stuff, man. Definitely the weakest part of the show. It's 1930s. Straight out of the golden age. If only she knew I had these powers, she would love me. Um, I mean, move on. Get a new girl. I understand you have a huge crush on Iris. If she sees you with a new girl, she'll like you even more. I think this is pretty well known, kind of common knowledge at this point. And yet they're going to play this whole, oh, I love her deeply, and if only she knew. I'm sorry, it really bothers me. It's really cliche. Zoom. Oh my goodness. I knew that guy was no good. I knew he was no good. And he was no good. I was really getting a vibe the whole episode that the guy in the wheelchair was going to be Professor Zoom. And I was not disappointed. He is the big Z to the What do I think he's doing? I think he's just being a huge voyeur, watching his favorite superhero story unfold. That's kind of like Superboy Prime, which is kind of interesting. I never really saw that connection until now. Maybe they should do more with that in DC Comics. But yeah, so really, really strong start. Just it's a little bit low budget, like I said, but it has a lot of heart to it, a lot of fun. They're not trying to be angsty. I like how they have a contrasting, uh, you know, um, system to Arrow, where Arrow is very, I am the night, I am vengeance, I am the vigilante. you know, I wish I would just call him Green Arrow already and get it over with. That kind of drawing this out is kind of goofy, but he's tortured and tormented and whereas the Flash is just he's upbeat and happy-go-lucky and all this, which I think is pretty refreshing. Um, what else? So, my predictions for this season, the Iris storyline. At some point, about 3/4 of the way through the season, she's going to find out that he's the Flash. And they're going to hit it off, and the other guy's going to disappear. Um, I don't know. Actually, I'm sorry. I take all that back about finding a new girl. I know from reports that he and Felicity are going to be an item, which yeah, I guess that kind of mixes it up, doesn't it? So I guess I'm wrong about that. Anyway, check it out if this isn't on your radar. If you like superheroes, if you like some fun some fun shows, some good. It's not just it's not House of Cards, but it's a fun show and it has a lot of heart. I definitely recommend it. All right, have a good one, guys.